John Mercer woke up in a white room with no windows. His head hurt. The last thing he remembered was walking to his apartment after another night shift at the security firm. Now he was here, wherever here was. A door slid open. A woman in a crisp military uniform walked in. The insignia on her shoulder wasn't one John recognized. "Mr. Mercer, good to see you're awake. I'm Commander Diane Hayes." John sat up, noticing he wore plain gray clothes that weren't his. "Where am I? What is this place?" "This is Project Vanguard, a classified military installation in Nevada. You've been selected." "Selected for what? I didn't sign up for anything." Hayes placed a tablet on the bed. It showed images of destroyed cities, burning spacecraft, and strange creatures with armored skin and 4 arms. "The Krell invaded our solar system 3 years ago. The public knows we're at war, but they don't know how badly we're losing. The Krell have taken Mars, the moon colonies, and 3 of Jupiter's moons." John stared at the images. He'd seen news reports about an alien threat, but nothing like this. "Why me? I left the military 5 years ago. Your record in Special Forces showed unusual tactical thinking. We need people who don't follow the normal rules of engagement. The conventional weapons aren't working against Krell technology." 2 guards escorted John through long underground hallways to a large room where about 50 people sat at tables. Some wore the same gray clothes as him. Others wore lab coats or military uniforms. "These are the other recruits," Hayes said. "Engineers, scientists, former soldiers, even a few criminals with technical skills. All of you think differently." A woman with short red hair caught John's attention. She sat alone, sketching something on paper while everyone else used digital tablets. Hayes noticed his gaze. "That's Kate Lawson, aerospace engineer. Brilliant but difficult. Got kicked out of NASA for punching her supervisor." A tall man with a shaved head and a permanent scowl walked to the front of the room. His uniform had more medals than John had ever seen on one person. "I'm Major Victor Reeves. Your first test begins now." He pressed a button, and compartments opened on each table, revealing various materials: metal pieces, wires, power cells, and tools. "Design a weapon. You have 1 hour. Show me what makes you special." John watched as people began grabbing materials. The woman, Kate, took only a few items and worked quietly. When the hour ended, Reeves inspected each creation. Most had built small explosive devices or crude energy weapons. John had made a simple but effective proximity mine. When Reeves reached Kate, he laughed. "A bow and arrow? This isn't summer camp, Lawson." Kate said nothing. The bow was made from composite materials, the string from high-tension wire. "Let me show you what real weapons look like." Reeves pressed a button on his wrist. A combat drone flew into the room, hovering above them. "This is military-grade technology, unhackable, armored, deadly." Kate stood up, knocked her arrow, and drew the bow. The room went quiet. "Sit down before you embarrass yourself," Reeves said. Kate released the arrow. It flew straight through the drone's main sensor array. The drone sparked, spun in circles, and crashed to the floor. Reeves's face turned dark red. "Security! Remove her!" As guards moved toward Kate, John noticed something strange about the arrow stuck in the drone. The tip wasn't just metal. It contained something he'd never seen before, something that glowed blue through the cracks in the drone's casing. 2 guards grabbed Kate by the arms. She didn't fight back, just smiled as they dragged her toward the door. "Stop." A thin man with gray hair and glasses stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Alan Frost, scientific director of this facility. Release her immediately." Major Reeves pointed at the smoking drone. "She destroyed military property." "She did exactly what we asked her to do," Frost said. "Create a weapon, and hers worked better than anyone else's." He turned to Kate. "How did you do it?" The guards let go of Kate. She walked to the drone and pulled out her arrow. "Simple physics. The tip contains a micro-EMP device tuned to the specific frequency of military drones. John moved closer to see. The arrow's shaft housed a tiny circuit that now gave off a faint blue glow. "Impossible," Reeves said. "Those frequencies are classified." Kate shrugged. "I guess I'm good at guessing." Dr. Frost clapped his hands. "This is exactly why you're all here, to think beyond our current limitations." He pointed at John and Kate. "You two will work together on the next phase." Later, in a small lab assigned to them, John examined Kate's arrow design. "This isn't just an EMP," he said. "This technology shouldn't exist yet." Kate looked up from her workbench. "What do you know about classified tech?" "I was on Mars when the Krell first attacked. Special Forces. We were testing new weapon systems when they hit the colony." John rolled up his sleeve, showing a burn scar that wrapped around his arm. "Their energy shields make our weapons useless. Bullets, lasers, missiles, nothing gets through." She pulled a small photo from her pocket and handed it to John. It showed a young man in a Mars colony uniform. "My brother, Sam. He was stationed at Olympus Base. I haven't heard from him since the attack." John handed the photo back. "I'm sorry. That's why I'm here. I've been studying every piece of Krell technology I could find. Their shields operate on a specific energy pattern." Kate pulled up a diagram on her tablet. "See these wavelengths? They block anything moving above a certain speed or carrying an energy signature." Not simple, different. It phased through by operating on multiple frequencies at once. John leaned forward. "Could we scale this up? Make weapons that could actually hurt them?" Kate nodded. "That's what I've been working on, but I need more resources." They worked through the night, combining John's combat experience with Kate's technical knowledge. By morning, they had designed a prototype weapon that could theoretically penetrate Krell shields. "What's happening?" Kate asked. John checked the security panel. "Someone accessed the classified weapons vault, and they're blaming us." The door burst open. Security forces rushed in with weapons drawn. "John Mercer, Kate Lawson, you're under arrest for theft of classified materials and sabotage." "We've been here all night." They were separated and taken to interrogation rooms. Through the window, John could see Kate being questioned by Major Reeves in another room. Suddenly, the building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered. A technician burst into the room, face pale with fear. "Sir, we have a breach. Multiple hostiles have entered the facility." "Who?" the security officer demanded. "How did they get past the perimeter?" The technician's voice shook. "It's them. The Krell. They're inside." The building shook again, harder this time. The sound of distant explosions echoed through the walls. The Krell had found them. The ceiling cracked as another explosion rocked the facility. The security officer ran out, leaving John still handcuffed to the table. John pulled hard, breaking the cheap metal table at its weakest point. He grabbed the keys from the desk and freed himself. In the hallway, people ran in panic. Smoke filled the air. John fought his way to the other interrogation room. Kate was alone, still cuffed. "They all ran," she said as he unlocked her restraints. "What's happening?" "The Krell are here. First ground attack on American soil." John grabbed a fallen guard's pistol. "We need to get our prototype." They ran through the chaos toward their lab. The lights flickered, emergency sirens wailed. Gunfire echoed from distant corridors. They turned a corner and froze. 20 feet away stood a Krell warrior. It was 8 feet tall with gray-green skin and 4 arms. Its body was covered in armor that glowed with blue energy. The shield. A security team fired at the alien. Bullets hit the shield and dissolved into sparks. The Krell raised a weapon and fired back. 3 guards dropped instantly. John pulled Kate into a side room. "Their shields work just like you said." Kate pointed to an air vent. "The maintenance tunnels. We can get to the lab that way." They crawled through dusty tunnels as the sounds of battle grew louder. The facility was falling. When they reached their lab, it was a mess. Equipment thrown everywhere. Someone was looking for something, Kate said, digging through the debris. Here. She pulled out a small device hidden inside a wall panel. Our backup plans. I always keep copies. John grabbed materials they needed: metal rods, wire, power cells. We need to make those weapons now. Kate worked quickly, following the designs on her device. These won't be perfect, but they should work. She built 2 weapons that looked like crossbows but with complex mechanisms inside. I call them ghost arrows. They phase through shields by operating on multiple quantum frequencies. A massive explosion shook the building. Part of the ceiling collapsed nearby. We need to go, John said. Now! They found a group of survivors hiding in a computer lab. 3 technicians, a scientist, and a young security officer. The Krell are everywhere, the officer said. They're heading for the central vault. We have weapons that can hurt them, Kate said, handing John one of the ghost arrows. We need to get these people out. John led the group through back corridors toward an emergency exit. They turned a corner and faced 2 Krell warriors. John fired the ghost arrow. It passed through the shield and hit the first Krell in the chest. The alien fell with a shriek. The second Krell fired back. Kate pushed a young technician out of the way. The energy blast hit her in the side. She fell against the wall, clutching her wound. Kate! John fired again, taking down the second Krell. He ran to her side. I'm okay, she gasped, though blood seeped between her fingers. Keep moving. John carried Kate as they ran. They reached an underground parking area and found a military transport. The young officer hot-wired it, and they drove away as the facility burned behind them. Miles away, they stopped at an abandoned gas station. Kate's wound wasn't as bad as it looked. The blast had mostly grazed her. Why would they attack here? The scientist asked. What do they want? It wasn't random, John said. They came for something specific. Kate checked her device, scrolling through files she'd downloaded. Her face went pale. What is it? John asked. The vault, Kate whispered. I know what they were after. Project Vanguard wasn't just about developing weapons. She turned the screen to show John. They found something the Krell are terrified of. The screen showed images of an ancient artifact covered in strange symbols that matched the design of Kate's arrows perfectly. They drove through the night, heading deeper into the Nevada desert. Kate's wound had been bandaged, but she was pale from blood loss. The group found shelter in an abandoned mining complex 20 miles from the facility. We should be safe here for now, John said, securing the entrance. The young technician, who introduced himself as Ryan, helped set up emergency lights in the main chamber. The scientist, Dr. Patel, tended to Kate's injury with a first aid kit they'd found. John examined a Krell communication device he'd taken from one of the dead aliens. It pulsed with strange lights. Can you decode it? Kate asked, wincing as Dr. Patel applied antiseptic. John connected it to Kate's device. I learned some of their language during the Mars campaign. Basic stuff. Symbols flashed across the screen. John's face grew serious as he translated. They're talking about something called the archetype. They fear it. That's what I was trying to show you, Kate said. She pulled up the images of the artifact again. This is what they came for. A voice came from the entrance. You're right. Everyone turned. Dr. Frost stood there, his clothes torn and dirty. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead. Dr. Frost, Ryan exclaimed. How did you find us? I tracked the transport's emergency beacon. Frost walked to Kate and looked at her device. I see you've discovered our secret. What is this artifact? John demanded. Frost sat heavily on a crate. 5 years ago, a mining operation on Mars uncovered something buried for thousands of years. An object not made by human hands, but not Krell either. Another alien species? Dr. Patel asked. Yes. We believe they fought the Krell long ago and won. The artifact contains technology we barely understand. We've been studying it, trying to reverse engineer it." Kate looked at her own designs, then at the artifact. "The bow, the arrows. I didn't create them. I remembered them." Frost nodded. "The artifact emits a low-level field that affects certain minds. People with the right neural patterns can access the knowledge stored within it. You, Kate, are one of those people." "So, my weapon designs came from this ancient civilization?" Kate asked. "Yes, and the Krell know it. That's why they attacked. They want to destroy the artifact and anyone who's been exposed to it." John checked the communication device again. "There's more. A Krell mothership is approaching Earth. Arrival in 6 hours." "A mothership?" The security officer looked terrified. "How big?" "Big enough to end the war," John said grimly. "If it reaches Earth's atmosphere, it's over." Kate stood up despite her injury. "We need to stop it, and I think I know how." She sketched rapidly on her device. "If we can scale up my phase-shifting technology, we could penetrate their shields at a massive level." "How?" Dr. Patel asked. "We'd need to get close to the mothership." "We have a shuttle in a hangar 5 miles from here," Frost said. "It's small, but it could reach orbit." Kate worked frantically designing a new weapon. "I need materials, specific ones." John looked at the group. "Ryan, Dr. Patel, get the shuttle ready. Officer, you're on security. I'll help Kate build this weapon." They worked through the hours as the deadline approached. Kate created a compound bow unlike anything John had seen, a perfect blend of ancient design and impossible technology. "This arrow can target the mothership's core," she explained. "One shot is all we need." As they prepared to leave for the hangar, John noticed Frost slip something into his pocket. While Kate was loading equipment, John checked Frost's discarded jacket. Inside was another Krell communication device, different from the one John had taken. This one had been used recently. John confronted Frost outside, away from the others. "You've been talking to them." Frost didn't deny it. "You don't understand what we're facing." "Explain it to me," John said, his hand moving to his weapon. "The Krell offered terms," Frost said quietly. "Give them the artifact, and they'll spare Earth. I made a deal to save billions of lives." "By betraying humanity's only real chance of fighting back," John said. Behind them, the sky began to glow red as the mothership entered the upper atmosphere. John grabbed Frost by the collar. "You sold us out." "I made the only choice I could," Frost said. "The Krell will destroy everything if we fight." Kate stepped outside. "What's going on?" "Frost made a deal with the Krell. Give them the artifact, they spare Earth." Kate's face hardened. "And you believe them? After what they did to Mars? To my brother?" The sky turned deeper red as the mothership descended. It was massive, blocking out the stars. "We need to go now," John said. "Frost stays here, tied up." They secured Frost to a support beam and drove to the hangar. The shuttle was small but military-grade with stealth capabilities. "I modified the engines with the phase-shifting technology," Ryan said. "We should be able to pass through their outer defenses." Kate loaded her special bow and arrows. The largest arrow contained a complex mechanism that glowed with blue energy. "One shot," she said, "right into the core." They launched as the mothership entered the stratosphere. The shuttle's engines whined as they pushed to maximum speed. "Krell fighters incoming," Ryan called from the pilot's seat. Energy blasts hit around them, but the shuttle's modified shields held. They approached the massive ship, its surface covered in weapons and glowing shield generators. "The phase shift is working," Dr. Patel said. "Their sensors can't lock onto us." They found a maintenance hatch and docked. John led the way inside, Kate right behind him with her bow ready. The interior of the mothership was vast. Strange organic technology pulsed along the walls. They moved quickly through corridors following Kate's instincts toward the core. "This way," she whispered. They turned a corner and faced a squad of Krell warriors. John fired his ghost arrows, taking down 3 aliens. Kate shot 2 more, but one blast hit Ryan in the chest. He fell without a sound. "Keep moving," John ordered, pulling Kate forward. They reached a massive chamber. In the center floated a glowing orb, the ship's power core. Around it stood a dozen Krell, including one larger than the others, wearing ornate armor. "The commander," John whispered. Kate readied her special arrow. "I need a clear shot at the core." "I'll give you one." John charged forward, firing rapidly. The Krell returned fire. Energy blasts hit all around him. One grazed his leg, another his shoulder. Pain seared through him, but he kept moving. The Krell commander roared and attacked John directly. They fought hand to hand, John's combat training against the aliens' 4 arms and superior strength. "Now, Kate!" John yelled as he pulled the commander away from the core. Kate drew her bow. The special arrow glowed brighter. She released. The arrow flew true, passing through shields and barriers. It struck the core and buried itself deep. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the core's glow changed from blue to red. Alarms blared throughout the ship. "Run!" John broke free from the commander and grabbed Kate. They raced back toward the shuttle as the ship began to shake apart. Energy surges ran along the walls. Krell warriors fell as their own technology turned against them. They reached the shuttle just as Dr. Patel was preparing for emergency launch. John's wounds bled heavily. Kate helped him into a seat. "Will we make it?" she asked Dr. Patel. "I don't know. The blast radius will be enormous." The shuttle detached and accelerated away from the mothership. Behind them, the massive ship began to break apart. The core explosion sent out a pulse of energy that washed over them. Instead of destroying the shuttle, the pulse seemed to push them faster, away from danger. Their instruments went crazy, then dead. They crash-landed in the desert, miles from where they started. The sky above was filled with falling debris from the mothership. "We did it," Kate said, helping John from the wreckage. They watched as smaller Krell ships fell from the sky, disabled by the energy pulse from the mothership. 6 months later, John stood at a window in a new facility. His injuries had healed, leaving new scars to join the old ones. Outside, teams tested new weapons based on Kate's designs. Kate joined him, wearing a uniform with a new insignia, a bow and arrow over a planet. "The reports from the moon colonies are good," she said. "The pulse from the mothership disabled Krell technology across the solar system. We're taking back what's ours." "And Mars?" John asked. Kate smiled. "The Liberation Fleet leaves next week. I'll be on it." "We both will," John said. A young officer approached them. "General Hayes wants to see you both. It's about the new program." "What new program?" Kate asked. "They're calling it Operation Archetype. We're taking the fight to the Krell homeworld." John and Kate shared a look. The real war was just beginning.